So, yeah, let me tell y'all. So, as this past week has been with regard to time management, I just start questioning myself. I'm like, yo, is there enough time in the day to manage all of the things?
Say no. It's the ultimate struggle of life. No. Ain't never enough time. Never.
Like time for self, time for being able to even, let me tell you where I realized where I like time feel like it fighting against me when I come home from work and I'm trying to like figure out, okay, I need to eat, right? But like I need to plan my meals for the rest of the week, because if I don't plan now, I'm going to end up buying food. So like my time management struggles when it comes to like trying to organize myself when it comes to food, for example.
My bank account is struggle too, because I buy food every time.
Right.
Listen, that's the last minute effort.
Right. So I be trying to manage, you know, so the bank account don't like die.
But look how we be out here suffering. No food or no money.
All because of time.
It's a struggle.
And energy and motivation, all of the things.
It's a struggle.
But yes, today we want to talk a little bit about time management and what our experiences look like, because this podcast is called Booked, Blessed, and Busy. You know,
we are all three of them.
We are all three of them. Okay. And so what that means is that time management is a struggle within itself. But at the same time, though, we recognize how much time, some of the time we do have in our control, and we need to invest it more, but we need to invest it more intentionally. Sometimes it still feels like we don't have enough time in a day. And so some things have to be pushed over to the next day or whatever it is. But here's a quote that I want to share with y'all that I made I don't know, a few weeks ago or
You better shout out yourself.
Yeah, child.
That's it.
So this is a Lisa Daily quote that just says, "How we manage our time shapes the way we choose to invest in ourselves."
Wow.
And I thought about this.
I'm an investment.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I am an investment.
How you gonna invest in everybody else and you invest yourself?
You see that?
I am it.
My God. I came up with this as I was thinking through what my day-to-day kind of looks like with regards to time management, and recognizing that if I'm going to choose now to invest my time well, I have to now see what I'm pouring into in order to see that it is an actual, true, positive outcome that's going to come out of this for me. So, for example, something as simple as this. I choose to invest my time well in meal prep. Now I get to eat every day on time.
Which we know for you is a major,
very big deal.
Can't do without your food.
I can't do without it. So like, for example, that's an example of that. But I wonder for y'all, as you kind of hear this quote, how we manage our time shapes the way we choose to invest in ourselves. How do you kind of interact with that as you kind of maneuver through time management? Does it help to strengthen what time management looks like? Does it like, I don't know. What are your interactions with that quote or the whole concept?
I'm gonna be honest and say that the quote feels like you're putting a fire under my butt and telling me to go.
Sorry.
It feels like you came for me. But I think, yeah, it's really a reframe and being able to see myself as an investment. Mm-hmm. And like, what are the ways that we steward investments, right? Okay. Like, if I have a house, or a car ain't really an investment, but if I have a house, right, what are the ways I'm going to care for this because I've invested into it? Even, you know, people have their kids, and kids, they're investing into their child's life. What are the ways that I'm intentional about setting up these things well so that the outcome is good? So I'm not going to have my house break down and just like mash into pieces because I want it to be an asset to me when I sell it in a few years. I'm going to be intentional about my child's life so that my child comes out to be the sort of individual and adult that I'm hoping for. I guess in the same way, what are the ways that I want to invest in myself in a way that I get the outcome that is worthy of me and is in alignment with what I'm hoping for, which, you know, that's work. Mm-hmm. What people don't tell you about time management is that time management is work. And sometimes managing the time is more work than doing the work. Mm-hmm. Managing the time to...
You're right.
Yes. It is one thing to go to work, you know, go to school, all the things. It's another thing to manage time, because managing time is an all-inclusive thing. It runs and bleeds into all of the areas. I'm managing the food that I'm eating, my driving time, my studying time, my working time, my time doing notes, my time with friends, like all of those things, my time with myself. And so all of those things take work to think through. and also a level of intentionality and holding to. Listen, I carry a planner every year, and there are things always on a daily basis that I plan to do that don't get done because I'm not always holding myself rigidly to the things that I have scheduled. And so, like, not just setting up the schedule, but how am I fulfilling the things that I have set in a way that is helpful to me? It's stress.
I'm just sitting there like, time management. I always get the question of like, how do you do it all? And I'm like,
he asked me that too.
but for me, I'm like, you do what you have to do, right? But in reality, it really does take time management on my part. I think I need to be transparent enough to say, like, that is what I actually do. I take the time to figure out how does this all fit in a day. But I think it also takes takes me knowing that some things won't all fit in my day. Like, I actually have to take some stuff to the next day. My problem with time management is I'm going to try to fit every single thing in my day. And sometimes I forget to fit myself. I even forget to eat.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say that.
Listen.
I forget to eat sometimes because I am so wrapped up in all the other things.
Yeah.
Wow.
There are plenty of times even now, but especially in the master's level, where somebody would be like, oh, what you eat today? And I'd be like, shoot, it's 8 p.m. and I've had nothing but water. Like, that's it. And so it's a lot to work through. But I think in what you're talking about takes organization, self-control, and as we've talked about before, like a level of grace, right? And so being able to understand that, like, okay, I tried to get numbers 1 through 10 done, and grace says you didn't get the last 3 done. Let them flow over into the next day. Like, we have limited capacity. We've been talking about throughout the season. You have limited capacity, and so you allow these things to flow over and go into the next thing.
Here too, as we think about this too, if we don't manage our time well, it will begin to manage us. I think, and this is in reference, kind of
pause.
Wait, in Bahamian terms or in Caribbean terms, if you don't take time will take you.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. It's something right there. And I mean, here's the thing. I've started to see the reality of this in terms of the amount of weight or the consequences too that kind of come when we don't manage our investments. We don't manage the things that we hold in priority, our values. They kind of overwhelm us because all of these things feel important. That's one of the struggles that kind of fights against time management. It's like, now, how do I prioritize what is actually valuable, what's important, what can go over into the next day? And this is like even with tasks. I think in general we're talking kind of about tasks as well. We have to think about this with regard to our quality time and relationships. I think that's a huge part for me, and I'd say we can say for us as well. And I think as we think about with taking care of our well-being, our physical well-being, what nutrition and exercise look like in the midst of time management, what discipline looks like in terms of discipline and just kind of spending time with God looks like. All of these things, and there's probably others that I'm not touching on, all factor in terms of our values, our priorities. And so I guess I'm wondering how for y'all, how do you, if you do, do you prioritize what's valuable to you in any given situation? And if you do, how and why?
Wow.
I think I'll talk a little bit on this one.
Okay.
I think before I just started getting busy,
because she's been busy.
I've been busy, but before I don't think I didn't value it. I didn't really value myself in the factor of all the things I had to do. But now I definitely put a lot of value on me. On when I say on me, on the spiritual, mental, and physical. So for me personally, if that means that I have to get up at 6 a.m. to spend time in my Bible and pray or whatever, then that's just the time that I have to take and manage the time within my day, because all these other things aren't moving. But I could get up.
Let me pause right there for a second, because y'all, I'm a witness to this. Journey gets up before me. I be rolling over trying to snooze my button. I could get another hour sleep.
Yes.
Durnik 7 a.m. She up and ready. I ain't trying to scramble to get ready, but Durnik's just sitting there with her earbuds in, and she's listening to whatever she's listening to, and reading her word in her journal.
Yes, yes,
So all
yes.
right, miss, you better be a motivation.
Because it's possible. I think it's possible. But at the same time, I'm not promoting a culture of overworking ourselves.
Of busyness.
Yes. Because our days are busy. We've recognized that. But I do believe that I am able to fit things in certain spaces. If there's certain times in a day when I know I could take a break instead of having that extra hour of work, I'm gonna take that break, because I'm prioritizing myself. Also, going back a little bit when we talk about our boundaries, having a good boundary is saying past this time, I'm not going to answer or receive texts or calls.
Oh my God.
I'm offline.
I'm offline.
Off
All
duty.
of that.
I'm off duty.
Off duty.
I'm gone.
Off duty, off the
Invisible.
clock.
Exactly. All of that, I think, plays into our time management skills. Because we could factor in everything in our day, but when can we include cutoff points for ourselves? Can we actually see ourselves and value ourselves enough to stop? Because let me tell you, I didn't know what it meant to stop until God had to stop me. But anyway,
Religion just
He said,
hold on right there.
and when he stopped me, everything around me stopped.
That's it. Wow.
But anyway, that's another conversation.
That's another
day.
conversation.
I think for me, by nature, these priorities look like levels of importance. And so, like, absolutely, of course, first and foremost, God is important. And so whatever that looks like throughout my day, it looks like, but also in work and school spaces. Somebody asked me yesterday, a friend asked, like, Danielle, are you a procrastinator? And I was like, I don't
just at my name.
Listen, okay. He really said to me, he was like, are you a procrastinator? And I said, well, I don't think so. And then I thought about it and I said, well, am I? And I said, I wouldn't call myself a procrastinator really, but I think what my time management looks like is working on things in level of importance. And so if I have something due tomorrow, I'm not working on the thing due Thursday because this is due earlier. Right. So like that is a lot of how I get my things done, is like what is due next, sort of. If I have extra time, then fine, I'll work on something. But if not, what is the next due thing? Because sometimes my level of busyness doesn't allow me the extra time to plan things 2-3 weeks in advance.
Right.
I don't get to start a paper 2 weeks ahead. The paper gets started when it gets started, and it's probably going in a day or two later. And so like, the levels of importance in this way, but also in doing things in unconventional ways. So Journey, you can get up at 7 a.m. That's not my style if I don't have to.
And I understand.
Listen, there's some days that my meetings start at 7 a.m. Okay, so getting up is already a struggle, and I am not a morning person, y'all. But my things come in unconventional ways, right? Are there times I'm gonna sit and pray and sit and read the Word? Yes, but if it means like listening to the Bible app as I'm washing the dishes, or talking to God as I'm driving, like all of those things, I incorporate God into my day as being top priority as I'm doing the things, and it's not that like, God, I don't have time for you, but more so I want you to be involved in every aspect of my day. I want you to be in the car with me as I'm driving to work. And so I kind of take advantage of those opportunities. But outside of that, it's importance. You talked about like people asking you, how do you do all the things you do? And I really think that time management is what makes the busyness possible and doable. Like we are able to be booked, blessed, and busy because we have learned and continue to learn time management skills that make it all possible. And now like having added a podcast into the mix, again, it is added time management where we're like, okay, how do we make these things work? We've been given 24 good hours a day. How do we make this work in order to accomplish all that God has for us? This is how we make it happen.
I do believe it's important that we say that time management is unique to everyone. Because I was able to talk about 6, 7 a.m. getting up. That's not going to work for you. And so I think it is important that we recognize it's unique to everyone. But it requires you finding what your level of importance and things throughout your day, and figuring that out for yourself.
Yeah, I think in the midst of that too, as we've in previous episodes been talking about the idea of effective communication, I think this also helps us to time manage better. when we are willing to, I mean, as much as possible. Some things you can't really communicate much about. It's just, it is what it is. But I wonder how I've seen how much for me being willing to communicate as well that certain things are priorities for me, how they've been able to, one, be valued not just by myself so they can manage my time better, but it's been valued more by others around me because I'm communicating what are the things that are valuable to me. And so I think it's an ongoing navigation within ourselves. Like, what are the things that are valuable to us? As we kind of talked about last episode and talking about, you know, different aspects of the things that are important to us and what sacrifices and things of that nature look like. But I think that there is an aspect of being willing to advocate for these things that we have to be intentional about if we want to see the investment come out beautifully for ourselves. So, yeah.
Listen, and I really think for us, like I said, this podcast has been a great example to these things that we're learning. Mm-hmm. I think a huge part of time management is that it helps us to even enhance vision, right? And so, like, if we did not have time management skills beforehand, there is no way that we could have had vision for and follow through with this podcast.
Absolutely.
The way that our schedules are booked, y'all, I can't even tell you. My planner just be booked. My planner be crying for me. Okay. So, like, the only way to enhance vision and to get to a place we've been talking about in the past few weeks, identity and pursuing purpose and what all of that looks like. Pursuing purpose gets a lot more difficult if we're not managing our time. Mm-hmm. It is the way we talk about, like, self-control, the way that we are able to do these things to accomplish what we want to and also see for more is time management. There's things I'm sure in all of our lives that we want to do in the future. The only way we'll get done, even when it comes to eventually a state of like marriage and kids and adding all that into the mix. If this is what it looks like now, the only way to have that be sustainable and able to maintain well is through time management. If not, we're essentially stuck on a hamster wheel that keeps going and we are going for the ride. And I think this time management allows us to be a lot more active in a lifestyle that can easily make us passive if we don't take control of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially in light of, I think, the kind of people that we are in terms of being go-getters and desiring to be a resource in many different aspects of our lives, whether that may be in being a student, a consultant, a teacher, whatever it is, a therapist, being a resource. Our wheels are constantly spinning. And so being able to invest into these things well, I think requires that intentionality as well. So, yeah.
But I just want to say, there have been times that I definitely fail at this. Mm-hmm. So it is a constant learning process. Mm-hmm. I think we're constantly figuring out what time management could look like, especially when we add in new projects and new things. And so it takes a level of flexibility as well.
Mm-hmm. But it can be done.
Yes,
yeah.
It can be done.
And I think even we've talked about both individually and with relationships. And I think a huge point in all of this is accountability. And how am I keeping myself accountable, and how am I allowing other people to keep me accountable? Mm-hmm. If I say to myself that I need to be done with this assignment by 6 p.m. today because I have another assignment to start, how do I keep myself accountable in that time to make sure that I'm not wasting time? And communicating that well, if we want to another individual. And so if Gay Lisa shoots me a text at 6:30 and she's like, all right, are you done with the paper? For me not to be like, oh, forget it, I've decided not to do the assignment, or, you know, like whatever excuse I could be making at the time. But really holding myself to these time restraints and recognizing that time is a gift and time is precious. And the 24 hours I get today, I will never see again. Mm-hmm. And so how do I, in recognizing like this as a gift, how do I again treasure the gift and invest in myself in a way that God sees as pleasing? How do I really like take advantage of the gift of life and the gift of time that you've loaned me and honor it and do it justice by not wasting time? But I think sometimes I think about this like as in our efforts to manage time and to be productive and all of these things, that like it's a like telling God thank you. Like, I appreciate this, and so I will not waste it because I recognize how precious this thing is.
Right. Every opportunity we get to do something that gives glory back to God is a gift, like you say. We are all a part of things that are so much bigger than ourselves, and so when we recognize that time is a gift and that we are able to do things because of God, I think that changes our view of how we spend time.
And I think it also gives us space to honor gratitude as well, and saying like it's a gift. We're thanking God for this opportunity, the space that we have, and how am I going to steward, as you've talked about earlier as well, Danielle. How am I going to steward this well, and honor what God has blessed me with, honestly. So, yeah.
And we are booked, blessed, and busy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's a humbling experience, but I think in the essence of being booked, blessed, and busy, like this is the essence of it. The booked and the busy part talk about the fact that our time is consumed, but the blessed being at the center is the essence of what is happening. Realizing again that we are blessed to be able to do all the things that we do, and so we decide to take it into our hands and handle it really well. So with that being said, we challenge you to do the same. Time is loaned to us in a way that is precious, and so we hope that through some practical measures, maybe like using a planner or setting reminders on your phone, setting a to-do list, those kinds of things, making priorities, but also the simple things like allowing yourself to incorporate your faith, incorporate God into the unconventional places of life, that you're able to find that you are able to use your time better, that you're able to maintain and sustain yourself in the midst of a booked and busy schedule, but also know that you are incredibly blessed in the process. Thank you again for joining us, and we will talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.